Welcome to the Crypto on the Block radio show, featuring industry pioneers and CEOs across various industries in blockchain and cryptocurrency. Here's your host, Matthew Loughran.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another show of Crypto on the Block. Again, your host, Matthew Loughran. Today, we have a great show for you as well. We have CEO and founder of Bitlumens, Veronica Garcia, with us. Veronica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's great meeting you in person, and it was great, us chatting and having you be able to come on the show. I know how busy you are right now with the launch of the company. But again, Veronica, can you maybe for my audience, can you maybe give us a little bit of background about yourself as well as Bitlumens?
Sure. So I started as an energy consultant at IBM Research Lab, and there I focus on renewable technologies, mainly on high concentrated photovoltaic plants that have two different types of outputs, a thermal and an electrical output. And then later on, for family reasons, I had to move to Washington, D.C., where I again focus on solar technologies and also wind technologies at the World Bank and IADB, where I mainly focus on quantifying the investments that countries would need if they would need to meet with the renewable country targets. So each country has a certain percentage they need to have in renewables. And then I was just quantifying how many power plants would we need to commit to that goal. And then I saw that there is a lot of room for improvement in off-grid communities where they pay a high amount of their income on electrification, lighting, and cooking. So I did some research on solar home systems and how we can also use the data that it's collected to promote financial inclusion. So then I decided to open Bitlumens 2 years ago and start to invest some of my time and resources on the blockchain piece and the infrastructure we are currently building.
Wow. So started off really, I'm going to call you a super scientist. That's what it seems like.
No.
And then kind of moving in from
fancy, but I am not a super scientist. Einstein was a super scientist.
I don't know, but what you described sounds like you're a very smart scientist.
Thank you.
And then from that point, kind of moving in again, working with, I guess even at the country level, right? Looking at the power resources required and the financials required to electrify regions or a country, which then led you into the blockchain with the start of Bitlumens. So it's quite interesting, a little bit there about Bitlumens. Can you maybe go into a little bit more detail about what maybe problem in the industry that Bitlumens is trying to solve?
Absolutely. So it's actually a huge problem. There are over 1.2 billion people that don't have access to electricity, and over 2.7 billion that do not have access to clean cooking, and also billions without a bank account, right? So the idea would be to bring all these new technologies, such as solar and wind, that are cost competitive in most areas, depending on the solar and wind resource, and displace, I would say, kerosene, plastic, battery torches, candles, and wood. And usually people in those areas, that's what they use, and it's very expensive. So I'm just trying to displace that and bring something that it's more efficient. It's the cost reduction, it's massive. Just to give you an example, one solar home system costs around $170, and they can pay this in installments. The solar home system lasts for about 5 years. So they would pay for it for, let's say, 1 year. And then the next 4 years, they don't have to pay for lighting. So let's assume they were paying before for kerosene or wood and candles around $18 to $20 per month. They will save a lot of these funds on the 4 years that are upcoming. So where they don't actually pay for this lightning source because they had already paid for the whole machine. So what we do is, since they pay on installments, we collect this data. So ideally, my agents, the first step is they go to the village, they show the technology. Whoever is interested signs up. We collect KYC using our application. It's a D-app. And all the KYC, it's stored on the chain. We are using Ethereum right now. And together with the transaction data, we create a credit score that these users can actually have the right to use and open a bank account or get access to, I would say, a microloan. We try to partner with financial institutions, so they give, let's say, microloans for technologies that would improve the productivity of those people. And this is important. I mean, the idea is to empower those communities and to really bring new technologies. So we reduce migration to big cities, and we, of course, reduce carbon emissions. So the blockchain plays a key role on transparency and security of this data, and also having access to, let's say, both parties don't have asymmetric information. They have exactly the same information. So I am not hacking any of this data. The financial institution can see all of this, and so does the client. And then the last piece we are currently building are sensors that are actually, they don't need to be connected to internet. We are connecting them with something that it's called low area power network. And all this data, it's connected within a 10-kilometer radius from each of these, let's call it nodes. So each household, we can see it as a node that is generating power. It's consuming power, and it's mitigating carbon emissions. So all this data, it's collected on an hourly basis and sent to a gateway. And that point, it's connected to internet and, of course, to the blockchain. So then later on, utility companies and other players in the industry who want to place mini grids could have access to that data, buying it through BLS tokens. Ideally, we will have mini grids in place. So then people can also trade energy among each other. And if there is a power grid, they can feed the grid, again, using the smart contract of Bitlumens.
Wow, it's quite impressive. So basically, we can break this down. You're providing them the energy at, sounds like 1/5 of the cost for a 5-year mechanism to light and fuel their home. And then in the process, you're helping them build a credit score, as well as, sounds like, which would be transparent to financial institutions if they wish to provide some microfinancing. And then on top of that, you're making sure that the security and transparency of the blockchain is giving, again, third-party companies in the future, like a utility company, transparency to see where best that mini grid would go to then power the region.
Correct. Just to put you an example, right now, there are over 20 million devices in Africa, right? Solar home systems. So this is a solar panel with a battery, LED light bulbs, and then connections that where you can connect your and charge your cell phone. So what happens at the very end of the paying period is that the user asks the company, please give me a piece of paper certifying me that I paid for my microloan. And then I can go to the bank and maybe they will open a bank account or give me a microloan. And of course, most banks do not accept that. I want to automate the process and have the blockchain into that. So security and transparency are two key metrics for all parties. and the users will have access to their own data. It will be basically the credit score piece and not raw data. And the financial institution will have exactly the same type of access. So, of course, the idea will be to empower those communities. The second piece that I do think it's important is the fact that you can send remittances to these machines directly. IoT, or the Internet of Things, it's growing exponentially. And I do believe that the way to go is where people will be able to pay for a remittance directly to machines, so you can exactly know where are your funds going to. So you know that these people are not going to drink the money. You know that these funds are going for electricity, or to power their homes, or to get access to water. If we have, let's say, mini grids connected with solar pumps, they can get access to water, underground water, and of course either use it at home or to water their crops.
Wow, I mean, really, it sounds like what you're doing is pretty revolutionary. Distributed renewable energy solutions to empower underserved communities. So I'm really kind of curious, what do you think the impact of this would be on these locations?
Well, the impact is, I would say, 2 or 3-fold. We have seen that empowering this type of communities, first of all, can reduce carbon emissions. Just to give you an example, if you would burn wood for a, let's say, 24-hour period, this would be equal to consuming around 10,000 cigarettes. So from a health perspective, we are trying to, create some value, have communities that mitigate carbon emissions, that reduce deforestation, and on top of that, increase their productivity. For instance, by reducing their costs, they can allocate those costs in machinery that they actually need for agricultural purposes. I do believe that the beauty of the blockchain system is that it really allows decentralization of power. We will be able to serve communities where people think, that this is charity. I always disagree with that. First, because these communities pay way more than whoever, let's say, pay in a city. If I charge, I don't know, people in a city will pay around 0.10 cents per year to charge their cell phones. In this type of communities, they would pay anywhere between $8 to $12 per month. On top of that, they pay for kerosene, wood, and candles. In some cases, a pack of wood will cost $20 and last for about 4 to 5 weeks. It depends. So I do believe that there is a lot of room to, for improvement and for private capital to flow into those areas that actually need it. But there is a huge misconception on, the type of economic outcome that this brings. So we, based on our cash flow, we hope we can stay on the 15 ROI% of things. And if we keep our a lean cost structure, I would call it, I think we can definitely get to those numbers.
Well, that might be a good segue into kind of the question I was going to ask you was, can you maybe describe a little bit about the revenue model for Bitlumens? It sounds like you're dealing with multiple entities, not only the end consumer, but maybe financial institutions, maybe utility companies. So I'm just kind of curious if you can go over that slightly.
So there are several I would say, streams of income. One of them is through the hardware. So ideally, what we are trying to do now is partner with mini grid companies and try to go together in the financing model of these mini grids and have a sharing, revenue sharing type of structure. This is one. So the hardware plays a key role. transactions and access to the data plays also a key role, right? So in our infrastructure, whatever it's related to the gas price or the transaction price that we will charge, it's part of our revenue source.
Okay, absolutely. It makes total sense. Obviously, we've talked a lot so far about impacting communities, your background and so forth. So I'm really kind of curious, what about Bitlumens really excites you the most?
Well, actually, what excites me the most is that I see in the future these decentralized type of energy systems and power systems that have been underserved and where the government had actually not been able to help, have actually better technologies than whatever we have in cities, where sometimes the technology and the infrastructure are not, I would say, updated and maintained properly. I hope we can move into this type of decentralization of nodes and mini cities where the technology is more efficient, where private capital can flow in transparently using blockchain technologies and, of course, cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, it sounds like, quite the undertaking as well, right? It almost sounds like a form of leapfrog technology like you've seen in other emerging markets where you're basically skipping the traditional electric grid and building out, these smaller, almost like a mesh network in these remote regions. And then if you are doing a partnership with some of those utility companies to bring in those mini grid options, it really is almost like a leapfrog technology play that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to give you another example, a utility company, if they analyze whether they can place a grid from, let's say, point A to B, and they would need several kilometers, and 1 kilometer will cost $500,000, and you need, I don't know, let's say 100 kilometers to get to the community. And it's a community of 2,000 people. There is no economic sense of doing that. But if they know how much the community is generating, how much is the community consuming, and how much are they paying, then the story is completely different, because then they will get in and put some capital in there to, they are reducing risks basically by getting access to this data.
Absolutely. I mean, it allows them to hedge exactly what they need to do. So it makes total sense to me from a business case perspective. And obviously, not everything, with a firm is going to be, sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. So I'm really kind of curious, and what are you currently seeing as Bitlumens' biggest threat right now in the market?
Can you repeat the question? Biggest what? Sorry.
What do you think Bitlumens' biggest threat is currently?
I think that the biggest threat is, I would say, the speed at which we can build a network, right? And this is important, and that's why we have been working hard on creating partnerships with the UN. UNEP had endorsed our product. We are working closely with the World Bank, and hopefully we can collaborate with them, and also with entities such as UNICEF Innovation Fund. We got selected in the last round, and hopefully we will get an answer soon from them. The deadline was last week, so hopefully we can work closely. So these entities are really key because they can open the doors to those communities and start the installations fairly quickly. So I think this is one of the biggest, I would say, milestones that we are trying to complete. And then on the other side, I think that the biggest complication I have seen so far, it's related to educating investors of, how are these communities paying for kerosene wooden candles, and what is the disruption that these new type of technologies can provide.
Well, yeah, so I even think about it, right? If the money they're saving in these remote areas on those natural resources right now that they have to purchase to heat or light their homes, I mean, that money can go towards healthcare costs, right? It can go towards education. It can go towards so many other things that, again, can affect their entire family, if not community and region at a certain level upon deployment of this. So, yeah, I mean, I would definitely say, depending on what level of investors that you're speaking to, that will definitely comprehend that. Again, I think you guys are prime for like even the impact investing world, right? Again, we are currently looking to partner with the UNICEFs and the World Banks, et cetera. I would definitely focus in on that too, because it totally makes sense. And the project's got so much positive stuff going for it, for deployment. So fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I really think that impact investors and crypto investors, it's a Bitlumens. I think it's a good hub to meet both in one place and create something that I think will have a huge impact on societies.
Absolutely. And then I know you mentioned Ethereum earlier. So that's the blockchain that you guys are built on. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Our token, it's an ERC20 token. We are super happy because we received FINMA letter last week, and FINMA is the financial regulatory authority in Switzerland. They sent a letter saying that we are a utility company token, and I hope that we can now start operating in exchanges. We are talking to several of them. But yeah, what we have built, it's all in Ethereum. We are working with a private chain and a public chain. In the public chain, you see the transaction of the token, which the smart contract it's already deployed on the mainnet. And then on the private Ethereum, we see the hashes of data. Right now, we are again working with the hashes. I am not happy about that, so we are trying to test other type of infrastructures, and hopefully we will find a better solution, a scalable solution.
No, absolutely. And I think you kind of glossed over something that was quite important. So I just want to make sure people heard that you did receive a letter from the Swiss FEMA division for their financial regulatory, that you guys are a true utility token. So I think that's a very important thing to make sure you can highlight again, that you have gotten that stamp of approval, from their government regulatory.
Yeah, and it's that. Important
So congratulations, as I know often.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I really want to mention that it's not easy to get that letter. We have been going back and forth with my legal team, who is amazing, and the financial authorities since basically October of last year. So it has been a long process. I don't know many other startups who had received this letter. Usually they provide letters of payment tokens or security tokens, but they do not provide letters, saying and stating that the token is a utility. And at the end of the day, what our token does is they can block solar machines with this type of token. So that's exactly what the BLS does.
And then, are you guys currently in a crowd sale right now, or token sale?
Yes, we are. So we are in the public pre-sale, and it goes until June 18th. We hope we can raise about 5 million. So one token is 0.5 cents of a dollar.
Okay, great. And then for the listeners, if they want to find more information about Bitlumens, what is the best way for them to do that?
So they can go to our website, www.bitlumens.com, or they can write us at info@bitlumens.com.
Okay, great. And I'm assuming on the website there's white papers and stuff like that, as well as.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys have any community channels? Are you on like a Telegram or anything?
Yes, we have a community of 9,500 members in Telegram. It's under Bitlumens News. There we have a chat with our community, and then we discuss with them our project. In our website, you can find different white papers with different languages. And I'm also happy to disclose the technical paper that we have written. I hope we can have that in the website by the end of next week.
Perfect. Well, Veronica, I know how busy you are, running a global organization here, especially at this stage of it when you're, getting some fundraising done as well. So I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the show today and kind of educating myself as well as the audience, not only about Bitlumens, but also about the social impact that you guys can have within a specific region when you deploy your products. So again, thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Matt, thank you so much for having me, and it was a true pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. Again, this is Matthew Loughran from Crypto on the Block. Until next time, talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Crypto on the Block radio show with Matthew Loughran. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. Tune in next time.